The most important thing with the AED is to make sure that you turn it on. It's going to give you instructions of what to do. The pads show you where they go. Once the pads are on, the AED will analyze the rhythm and let you know if there's a shock or not. Once it gives you a shock advised, you'll clear the patient, defibrillate, and then you can start CPR again.
This is Mike. And this is AJ. AJ received a tornado warning to his phone. He knows a warning means there's a high chance a tornado is in the area. He knows to get a safe room away from windows and exterior doors. He also has some light reading to pass the time. Mike also got a tornado warning but deleted it from his phone. He didn't take the alert seriously and stayed outside far too long, and now it's too late. Don't be like Mike, be like AJ and follow instructions from official sources. This is Mike. And this is AJ.
Parks and Recreation is more than just parks and playgrounds. It's community centers where neighbors gather, fitness classes that promote healthy living, and programs that help children learn, grow, and build confidence. It's trails that encourage exploration, aquatic facilities that teach life-saving skills, and natural spaces that connect us with the environment. It's places like Warren Meadow Springs Park and the Circle of Honor that preserve our history and create opportunities for reflection. From summer camps to special events and everyday recreation, Northport Parks and Recreation helps enhance the quality of life that residents enjoy every day. Our parks, programs, and people help make Northport a great place to call home.
So today marks the completion of a project that reflects the dedication of many people who believed in creating a meaningful space to honor our veterans, active duty service members, and those who serve and will serve our country in the future.
Military service shapes not only the individuals who serve, but also their families, their communities, and future generations. The values of duty, sacrifice, and commitment stay with you long after your service ends. Good evening. Today is Tuesday, July 7th, 2026 at 6 p.m. We're in the city chambers and I call the City Commission regular meeting to order. Commissioners present are Commissioner Duvall, Commissioner Stokes, Mayor Emmerich, Vice Mayor Langdon, and Commissioner Petro. There was a quorum present for this meeting. Also present are City Manager Fletcher, City Attorney Fuino, Deputy City Clerk Powell, Board Specialist Linder, Captain Gregory, and Chief Titus are in the back, and I'd also like to recognize former County Commissioner John Thaxton is in the audience. Welcome, sir. I am requesting that all commissioners, public participants, and staff maintain order and decorum throughout this meeting. City Commission Policy 2021-03 states that attendees shall refrain from engaging in personal attacks and boisterous, immaterial, inflammatory, obscene, profane, or disorderly conduct. Additionally, meeting attendees must refrain from obscene, profane, or disorderly conduct, including hand clapping, yelling, and similar demonstrations, all of which disturbs the peace and good order of the meeting. Thank you. I'm going to call on Miss Trish Sturgis to lead us in the pledge this evening, if she would.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you, ma'am. And I request a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Stokes to approve the agenda, seconded by Vice Mayor. If there's nothing to that, please vote. That passes 5-0. City Clerk, public comment?
Yes, we do have some. We'll start here with voicemail. We have a couple voicemails.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Tony Sirianni, and my phone number is 941-356-7333. This message is directed for public comment at the July 7th, 2026 regular meeting, which is scheduled for 6 p.m. It's currently 9:59 a.m. I'm referring to Agenda 26-0408, which would be general business. Again, my name is Tony Sirianni, and I'm a retired police officer with the City of Northport. I served from 1991 to 2015, retiring as the Assistant Chief of Police. The purpose of this presentation is to bring attention to a pressing matter with the Northport Police Officers' Pension and Local Option Trust Fund and the Northport Police Officers Union. In the last two PBA contracts, there were requests submitted to provide officers who were retired prior to 2017 with cost of living adjustments. Now, according to pension and union board members for each of the last two contracts, there were requests from the pension board for COLA adjustments for retirees. We were advised that these requests, unfortunately, were denied. I have not received a cost of living adjustment in over 10 years, nor have others who retired in good standing. In fact, there are some retirees who receive approximately $30,000 annually, one being an 88-year-old who has been forced to go back to work. He could not subsist over his original benefit amount. The ability to provide ourselves and our loved ones over the years has been difficult. The cost of living has surpassed the worth of our pensions. I myself didn't expect to have to return to work, but as of 2022, I've come back to law enforcement as a patrol deputy. In light of our selflessness and willingness to give decades of service to the City of Northport, please consider revising the ordinance and providing COLA on an annual basis. I greatly appreciate your help. Thank you for your time.
Okay, bear with me one moment. We have one more voicemail.
Hi, this is Pam Tokars. I'm commenting on tonight's meeting for July 7th agenda. This comment is for the general public comment at the beginning of the meeting. While discussing the agenda item regarding Special District for Activity Center 6 and 10, please keep in mind the residents who already have homes in that area. The additional tax charge for the Special District should exclude those property owners. The argument that they will benefit from those services is valid, but so is the argument that the threat to their health, safety, and welfare will be affected is valid as well. They will be exposed to increased traffic, noise, light pollution, environmental issues from whatever industrial industry goes in that area. Because of those impacts, they should be exempt from the additional tax. And I hope you learned a lesson from the rezone and personally notify each and every residential property owner in that area by certified mail that this change is happening. Thank you.
Okay, that's it for voicemails. Now for a couple e-comments. First, we have Debbie McDowell. I wanted to email the directors and city manager last week, but the email was forever lost in my drafts folder. This is the next best thing. I want to thank every director, both assistant city managers and the city manager, for coming to the event I held last week. The Northport Government and You Budget 101 class had a large turnout. The fact you were all there, even though it wasn't a city-sanctioned event, was surprising. I admit your grand entrance made me a bit nervous, and I don't think I gave you the proper introductions. For that, I apologize. I'm sure each of you had better things to do that evening, but I am grateful you were there. Hopefully the citizens chatted with you while I was cleaning up. Anyhow, it was nice to see you again. Thanks again for coming. Next one is from Laura Miranda. I am absolutely opposed to new loans, data centers, and out-of-state vendors unless they are in a neighboring state. All I see is the city adding debt and, most importantly, not listening to or caring about what the residents want. We are tired of paying more and getting less. The taxes are killing people, most of whom can barely keep their heads above water. We experience localized drought conditions almost yearly. We don't have the water to support a data center, nor do we want the hazardous waste. I understand we are growing, but instead of spending money on buildings for nonprofit organizations, use it for improving infrastructure. Instead of adding debt, try to procure financing, loans, etc. How about tightening the budget and prioritizing needs? Not everything needs to be done right now. And now for in-person public comment. First we have Debbie Blackwell.
Hi there, good to see you. I'm here basically because I can't wait to see a unanimous vote approving the Warm Mineral Springs money. And then I want to tell you about something that Mr. Rogers said about trust. You know, he went to Rollins University, graduated here, a Florida graduate. So it said it's not the honors and prizes and fancy outsides of life which ultimately nourish our souls. It's knowing that we can be trusted, that we never have to fear the truth, and that the bedrock of our very being is good stuff. And that leads me to going on to the next part of that. The people of Northport trust you to carry out the plan and stick to the plan. The people of Northport trust you for the buildings to look beautiful. They trust you that the maintenance will be constant. And the people trust you for the walking trails and for all the wonderful things that are in the plan. And the nature center and the spa with the masseuse. So the next thing then is like the 15 acres. What are your ideas? What do you have in mind for that 15 acres, and will they mesh with the plan that we have now? We won't get any blindsided P3s in there, will we? So won't you be my neighbor and put posters up at the airport too?
Next, Baldy Oleander.
Good evening. I am Baldy Olander. I come here in peace. I am not a criminal. Don't treat me as one, Emrich. I have dignity. Please respect it, Emrich. Emrich, I am instructing you to remove policeman of my back and tell him to sit over here. Just 90 degrees. This is 25th time that I am instructing you to do it. How many times you violate Florida Constitution and you owe? 25 times. Let me make the comment on the call. My pension has not been raised since day one. In some privileged society, wants his pension go up. Today's agenda has 64 million plus proposition of spending. By what authority? I don't consent it. Stop this cult of personality. Remember, Führer words change the written law, and people suffer. On 25th anniversary of Declaration of Independence of 1776, USA acts today as the empire. Day of captivity fits much better than Independence Day. Federal government has $38 trillion debt. Household debt, 18 trillion. Credit card debt, 1.2 trillion. Student debt, 1.5 trillion. 14% of our U.S. household population have food insecurity. U.S. has 800 bases around the world, stealing others' natural resources, provide weapons to murder, starving, kidnap, assassinate leaders of other countries which refuse to be controlled. Sucking up to one leader only, pile up debt without people consent to economically enslave them. How about Northport? How about Northport government? You propose chicken coop size houses for us. Bigger police control base, more debt without consent of the people, manager pet projects, interpreting language in Constitution, Charter, to your benefit. According to Schedule 17 of 2025 CAFR, 25 traffic violations are 17,000 plus. This is 109.9% up from 2023. It is retaliation against the people who vote no.
Jacob Walker.
Good afternoon. I'm just here on behalf of my neighbors over in the Yorkshire East Northport area that got rezoned to AC10 and AC6, unbeknownst to most of us who've lived out there for many years. So, yeah, looking forward to hearing what you guys have proposed for infrastructure and how you're not going to make us be burdened with the cost of everything and maybe burden the proposed businesses that are going to come into the area, like how Charlotte County did with Westport and stuff like that.
Frank Bear.
Good evening, members. Actually, I'm here a little frustrated. The construction that's going on in Price Boulevard, it seems to be out of control. They don't seem to be coordinating different operations. The traffic delays have been horrendous. They had periods where, and I mean, I live right off of Price Boulevard and off of Laconia. And the amount of, they built a bypass to get around the culvert, but the number of reductions to one lane of traffic, many times that traffic is backed up from Laconia almost all the way past Salford and through the light. It's becoming a safety issue. And we had an incident where a water main was broken a couple months ago. We were without water for about 4 hours. And I did talk to the inspector that was on site. And he actually advised me that they were attempting to tunnel under another pipe when the whole trench caved in. And I even asked him, I said, why didn't you use the trench box? It's on site. He goes, I don't know. And I guess the thing is we've been going through this for about a year. I mean, I myself, having been involved in construction prior to my retirement, we've taken Price and completed the first section before you moved into the second section, and then to the third section. But they're working on all three at the same time. And there are days we have 3 to 4 areas which are reduced to one lane and traffic backup. We've also had issues with not only Price, but there's been construction on Cranberry down by 41, paving on North Cranberry. It's almost impossible to get out of the neighborhood without running into some sort of construction. I've got a daughter that lives less than a mile away from me, but in order for me to get to her house without going over Price, it takes me over 5 miles to get there. And I understand construction and it does take time. I've been involved in that in the past. Is there any idea of a time frame of when they anticipate completion of Price Boulevard? I think a lot of people in the area would appreciate to have some knowledge of when to expect things to start happening.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me?
Your time is up. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Okay. Announcements.
The current vacancies for the following boards and committees include Art Advisory Board, Auditor Selection Committee, Charter Review Advisory Board, Citizen Tax Oversight Committee, Community Economic Development Advisory Board, Environmental Advisory Board, Historic and Cultural Advisory Board, Joint Management Advisory Board, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, Planning and Zoning Advisory Board. One resident of Northport to serve on the Sarasota Manatee Metropolitan Planning Organization Citizen Advisory Committee. one resident of Northport to serve on the Citizens Oversight Committee for School Facility Planning. If anyone would like more information, please see the city clerk's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda. City manager, has any items been pulled?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
All right, is there any public comment on the consent agenda?
We do have one e-comment.
Okay.
This is regarding item H, 26-0854 from Laura Miranda. Why are we using out-of-state vendors? Is there no one closer? That is all, Mr. Mayor.
All right, I'll request a motion.
I'll make it, sir.
Go ahead.
I move to approve the items in the consent agenda as presented.
Second. A motion on the floor made by the Vice Mayor to approve the items in the consent agenda as presented, seconded by Commissioner Stokes. If there's nothing to that, please vote. And that passes 5-0. Moving on to public hearings. I need a motion to direct the city clerk to read by title only.
So moved. Second.
Okay. I have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Stokes, seconded by Vice Mayor, to direct the deputy city clerk to read by title only. If there's nothing to that, please vote. Commissioner Duval. And that passes 5-0. City clerk.
An ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, creating the dependent special district known as Activity Center 6 and 10 Infrastructure District, providing legislative findings and intent, establishing the district as a non-ad valorem special assessment district within Chapter 66 of the Code of the City of Northport, Florida, defining the district's status as a dependent special district and identifying its purpose, powers, functions, duties, boundaries, authority, governance, financing methods, and comprehensive plan consistency as required by Section 189.02 Florida statutes, providing for the planning, design, land acquisition, construction, expansion, maintenance, operation, and all other associated costs of certain public infrastructure and related facilities, including but not limited to road, stormwater, potable water, wastewater, reclaimed water, electric, gas, fiber, communication utilities, public safety facilities, solid waste facilities, multimodal facilities, and parks and recreation facilities, and all other associated costs, providing for the levy and collection of non-ad valorem special assessments to fund the cost of the dependent special district, providing for use of the uniform method of collection pursuant to Section 197.3632 Florida statutes by separate resolution, providing for liens and revenue shortfalls, providing for governance by the City Commission, providing for a district director appointed by the city manager or the city manager's designee, providing for finances, claims, consistency with the comprehensive plan, meetings, attorney to the board, right-of-way use permits, prohibition of hazardous activities, fees, fines, and penalties, amending the code of the City of Northport, Florida, Section 66-98, through 66-117, providing for findings, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, sir. City manager, this is your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As drafted, the city board is voting today on whether to create the Activity Center 6 and 10 Infrastructure District as a dependent special district. The current item is only about governance and the financing structure, not a final project approval and not an assessment levy today. The memo says the adoption of the ordinance does not enact any assessments on any properties. If the city later decides to levy a non-ad valorem assessment, it would need methodology studies, public notice, hearings, and future commission action. If the city later uses the uniform collection method, that separate action would also require a public hearing resolution under Florida law. Director Elena Ray does have a brief presentation she wants to go over tonight to show you some information that would be helpful. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Elena Ray, Director of Development Services. There we are, let's see if I can. I'm not sure why it
Try it
is.
down at the bottom.
Nope.
No. Hit the three dots. The three dots. Okay. Go to the bottom right. Right there, almost.
The mouse is not working.
Yeah, right there. Yes, yes, right there.
Riley's controlling it for you. He's going to fix it. Oh, that's why my mouse wouldn't work. Someone else is controlling it.
That would explain it.
That would explain it.
Bottom right.
Hopefully he's back there.
Riley. Okay, there you go. Now you do it. There you go.
It's not working. It's me, I broke it. I'm bad with technology. See, it wasn't just me.
You're right, it was.
We would have never figured that out.
I would never
We
have
would
gotten
figure
there.
that out.
Mm-mm.
I don't know why that changed.
No.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you. Okay, I am bad with technology, but there's not enough help in the world that could have gotten me there. All right, so hopefully tonight, what I'd like to do, I know there are a lot of questions and concerns that are swirling around this topic, so hopefully some of those will be answered and assuaged by the end of this presentation. First question is, why are we even here with this item? The goal is to ensure that we coordinate infrastructure planning for activity 6 and 10 around the future growth that we know is planned for there and the proposed I-75 interchange. FDOT is expecting the city to show progress in how we are going to address our own infrastructure needs around that interchange in order for them to accelerate their plans to develop that. Also, and this could probably be number one, and you're going to hear me say this likely multiple times, we want to plan the public infrastructure so that it doesn't burden the existing residents. And while the commission considers not only this item, but future, if we are directed to do methodology studies, options for assessments, one of the options that the commission can consider and authorize is exempting existing single-family homeowners in Activity Center 6 and 10. There aren't many in the area, but there are quite a few in a couple of pockets in AC6, and there's one pocket in AC10 where we do have a significant number of homes. So that's something that the commission, you'll hear me say it probably more than once, the commission could consider exempting them, not from the district itself, because that would make the boundaries very spotty, but from the assessments that may come from the district. And part of that is also to ensure that the future growth is funded in AC 6 and 10 by those property owners or developers who are directly going to benefit from it. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So how did we get here? That's another question we've had, and it's been quite the journey. In 2007, the city created Activity Center 6 in our comprehensive plan around the Yorkshire and Raintree area. It remained stagnant for a long time. Nothing really happened there. And then in 2022, the City Commission adopted the economic development pillar as part of the Commission's strategic plan. And that pillar indicated several things related to commercial development, and these bullet points are directly out of the strategic plan. to strive to increase Northport's overall commercial industrial land use percentage to 18% by 2033. We have gotten very close to that mark at this point as far as our land area. To encourage walkable mixed-use development in Northport. These are the things that people will be able to enjoy, go shopping, go eat, live within walking distance if they choose to. And the last goal was to present the overall update to the Unified Land Development Code to City Commission for adoption. So in 2024, we did finish the ULDC. The City Commission adopted that with new expanded commercial, industrial, and mixed-use areas by expanding Activity Center 6 and creating Activity Center 10. December 1st, 2025, Commission had a workshop, and you were presented with an item that discussed potentially creating a special district for Activity Center 6 and 10. And during that discussion, you talked about the long-term build-out of that area, coordinating with FDOT on the interchange, the significance of AC 6 and 10 to the city's financial stability. Most of our increase from where we were, 8% land use area for non-residential, to our current 16, 17%, most of that resides in AC 6 and 10. The infrastructure funding mechanisms, how the city could fund the needed infrastructure that will be out there, what the options were on dependent and independent districts, and this ordinance that we will talk about does cover a transition potentially from dependent to independent. And then potential future assessment methodologies. There are many options available to us on that. The commission directed the city staff to take multiple actions. One was to prepare a resolution of intent to use the uniform method of collection for non-ad valorem assessments. To get to that step, we need the step where we are tonight. So in order to prepare that resolution of intent for you, to send to the county tax collector for a district, we need a district to base it on. Also, to direct the city manager to develop and advance a legislative concept for the 27 legislative session that would potentially create an independent district. A dependent district, if we create that first, we talked about doing that to start getting in some funding for planning and design, and then merging it into an independent district if such was approved by the state legislature. And to authorize the city manager to develop the assessment methodology. We'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. And also to coordinate with the surrounding counties, Sarasota, DeSoto, and Charlotte counties, regarding those legislative efforts associated with the Yorkshire and Raintree interchange. Their support and agreement is very crucial to FDOT moving forward on that interchange. And we have worked very well with them. They are in support, and we've had some joint items that we've taken to both elected bodies and have had very good success with that. So what does this look like? What is the roadmap to get from where we are today to having a fully implemented district look like? There are a lot of steps, and I will tell you that for each one of these boxes on your screen, there are a lot of micro steps underneath that that are included in a very long spreadsheet. We are tonight at step one, the ordinance. Step two would be to do a resolution at some point in the future for the resolution of intent to collect. This whole process is about a 2-year process. It's a very significant process. We would, if this ordinance passes on second reading, We have in our proposed budget for our department for next year to do an infrastructure master plan for AC 6 and 10. That master plan would identify the types of infrastructure that we're going to need, the likely road network. When I say road network, primary road network, the improvements to Yorkshire, the improvements to Raintree, Price. And any of the approaches to the interchanges that we would need. Secondary roads and roads that would be internal to developments will be on developers to construct. Step 4 is to do a methodology study for phase 1. And we talked a bit about doing the methodology and assessments in 2 phases. 1, the planning, design, getting some money rolling in so that we can take care of those things. We think that between planning and design for some of these larger efforts, we're looking at probably about $4 million. So that was the initial step on assessments. Phase 2 would include which is way down here. Phase 2 would include actual construction, land acquisition, and those types of things. But initially, we're looking at just getting enough funding so that we can begin the planning. Any expenses, for instance, the infrastructure master plan, if the commission approves that budget proposal with the FY27 budget, that could be reimbursed through the district in the future. So the general fund, which is where that money is coming from, could be reimbursed in the future once assessments come in. Step 5 would be the actual public hearings and adoption for that first phase of assessments. Then we would transmit those assessments to the county. We would need to do that by June 1st of 2027 in order to have that on the tax roll for the end of next year. And I'll say it again, remember, if the commission chose to exempt existing single-family home owners, they could do so they would not see any assessments in 27. Step 7 would be to do the second phase of the methodology study, and most people would not really see the 2 phases. We would see that behind the scenes. It would probably be a seamless study so that the same consultant is doing the whole thing. But the second phase would be a little more intensive because it would also include all of the expenses that we believe would be included in, say, a 5-year capital project plan for the area. So not just roads, but utilities and anything else that the city might need for infrastructure. And then that would go through the similar phase where we would come back to the commission with those options. There would be a sort of a cafeteria plan of options that the city commission could look at as to how properties will be assessed. There are different ways to assess properties based on benefits received. It might be by the amount of acreage. There might be sort of a premium for those properties that are on the main collector roads, or properties that are over 10 acres. Those types of properties, there might be a premium surcharge on top of those properties for the assessments. And again, potential to exempt existing homeowners. So all of those things would be presented to the commission when we come back with a methodology study for your review. A lot of opportunity here, and we're going to look at the opportunity for public outreach and public input in a moment as well. Want to talk about what this ordinance does and what it does not do. The ordinance itself would establish the governance and legal framework for the activity center. It does not approve any methodology. It does not decide who pays or how much any property owner would pay. It enables the city to adopt a resolution of intent to collect potential future assessments. It does not adopt any assessments. It does not impose any obligations on future property owners, and that resolution of intent would come back to the commission. It would, by law, has to be advertised in a newspaper for 4 consecutive weeks prior to adoption. There would be outreach prior to that resolution occurring. This ordinance establishes a process for future consideration and authorization of eligible infrastructure projects. It does not obligate the city to any future actions. It does not obligate the city to take on any public infrastructure projects. And it does not authorize any additional actions without more public hearings and more commission approval. So public outreach, we've been asked what that would look like for this type of a process. Right now, of course, we have tonight's meeting advertised. It would also, the resolution, as I said, would be advertised in a local paper. But we wouldn't just do that. With the start of the infrastructure master plan, which we have that teed up if the commission does approve the budget, to start that around October 1st. I've already talked with our communications team about setting up a web page and an email distribution list for this specific project, where we would provide blog posts, updates, much like we do with the Price Boulevard widening, where we would, at a set time, we would, maybe bi-weekly, we would issue updates on that webpage. We would also have the opportunity for anyone to sign up for an email distribution list so that we could push out those information sheets to our residents or anyone who signs up for that email distribution. When we do the methodology study for phase 1, once we have an idea of what that methodology, the different options, because it's not going to be just one option. We're going to have multiple options that the commission will be able to consider. We would take those options, boil it down to an information packet that would be understandable to the public. We would send out letters to each parcel owner in AC 6 and 10 with that information. And then we would have also a public question and answer session somewhere, probably in City Center where it's accessible to most people, or at a library, so that we could go through those options with them, have a presentation that goes through those, and have an opportunity for the public to ask questions and get their answers then in real time. Then the public hearing notices would go out for the commission's consideration. Those would be public hearings, so we would have those official notices that would be posted and go out. At that point, the commission would have the public hearing and potential adoption for whatever option the commission might choose for those assessments. Once assessments for phase 1 are adopted, then those assessments would be sent to the Sarasota County tax collector, and the assessment notices would go out to the property owners. With the methodology study for phase 2, where we actually look at the cost to construct the infrastructure and do any land acquisition if we needed that, we would go through that same program all over again, where once we have that options from the consultant, we would boil it down into an easy to understand package. We would again send out letters to the public parcel owners in that area, and we would have another Q&A meeting where we could present that to them and they could ask questions and get answers. That would go back through the public hearing process again. The City Commission would have their meetings, and if an assessment methodology was chosen, we would then send that to the county, and those notices would go out to the public. all during this time, we would continue to keep our webpage updated. We would work with communications to do informational posts on social media. We would do other things, but these are the primary things that would be occurring as far as public outreach during that time. So, key takeaways for this particular ordinance. It creates the framework. It does not do anything with funding. It doesn't assess anything. It doesn't choose methodologies. It doesn't present methodologies. It simply provides a framework within our code that allows the city to move forward with this process and consider methodology studies and options. It does preserve the future infrastructure financing options. That's built into this. It does not obligate or adopt any future options. It ensures that any additional actions regarding future assessments, if any, and as far as who they might or might not be charged to, would require additional public hearings, commission approval, public notification. And then this ordinance, as it is proposed, it ensures that the city has a way to support orderly and fiscally responsible growth. I've had a couple of people call me asking questions about this ordinance. And one of the things that was asked of me, and I think it's worth mentioning, is that if a developer were to come in and buy a property in this area, I was asked, what do they have to pay for? If we're paying for everything up front, what does the developer have to pay for? If a property owner, let's just say there's a 10-acre parcel in Activity Center 10, and the current property owner starts paying assessments. When a developer comes in, or if that property owner wants to develop, they are still going to have to pay impact fees. They're going to have to do a concurrency study for any development that they do. And if they're going to have to do traffic impact studies as well. Any of those things that show that the impact of their development requires improvements, they're still going to have to pay for like they do today. If it means a new traffic light has to go in at their entrance, or if it means turn lanes need to go in, or a roadway needs to be widened, they still have to pay for those things. So it doesn't remove costs from the developers. It simply ensures that the city, through the district, has funding for anything that might not be legally payable by a developer. We all know impact fees don't cover everything. They don't cover existing issues that we have, and they don't always cover the impacts that we see on the long term. So the state does put some restraints on us as to how much we can charge in impact fees and how often we can raise them. So this provides that alternative funding, but we still have all of the other mechanisms for those developers that they would have to pay as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm sure there are a few.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Great presentation. Thank you for that. It certainly cleared up a lot of things in my mind. What has been the initial feedback we've received from the property owners out in those areas that we've spoken to?
The only property owners that I have spoken to regarding this item or the potential district are owners who own either multiple lots or they own a large piece of property or large pieces of contiguous property.
Large being?
40 acres. I have some that have spoken to one that I think has about 20. And they are actually very supportive of this. Even if it would be a while before we would see any projects from this district, the fact that the city is looking at the future in this structured manner is beneficial to them, because they are a little more certain that the area is actually going to do something. I had a property owner say, if we're going to invest money, we don't want to see the area around us develop differently than what we're looking to do. And knowing that the city is looking at a way to fund long-term the infrastructure needs from our side is to them, it's a positive step. And they also believe that it helps FDOT to accelerate their plans, which are also crucial to those landowners being able to have the type of development that they need and the access that they need for their development.
Okay, thank you for that. Are we anticipating having to hire additional staff to manage the phases of this project? Will we be able to
No.
handle that with existing staff?
So I am the existing staff working on this right now. We have started looking at the potential to bring on a consultant to manage this process and the district itself. We have looked at consultants who manage these types of districts all over the state, and the cost to do this process, what essentially I'm trying to, I will say it, I've never put a district like this together, so there's been a lot of education. But it's about $35,000 to $40,000 a year to have a consultant manage the entire process. Just based off the work that I've put in on just this one item, I'd say that's a bargain. So it's something that we're exploring. And of course, we would look at our budgetary options to do that. Ultimately, if this moves forward and the commission does produce a methodology assessment eventually, those costs could be reimbursed and absorbed by the district as well.
Now, one last question / comment. I do recall when we were going through the rezoning of this area that we did exempt certain neighborhoods that already had some residential development. Are those the 3 neighborhoods that you mentioned, the 2 in Activity Center 6?
2 of them are, yes, they're in AC6,
Yeah.
by the just southeast of or southwest of the highway.
Yeah.
And those are the neighborhoods that I'm talking about. Outside of those 2 pockets, there are probably only about 100 to 110 homes in the entirety of AC6 and 10, outside of those 2 pockets that are in AC6 that were exempted for single-family homes.
Okay, and are they just sort of scattered?
Most of them, I would say, are located in the very, very southeast corner of AC10. We had a builder, when they knew that we were looking at developing AC10, they came in and sort of carpet bombed this one neighborhood with building permits before the ULDC was adopted. And I want to say about 30 homes went up within 12 months. They got all of their permits in before the ULDC adoption, and they just built spec homes in this one area. So a lot of them are in that one area, and we'll be bringing some options to you later in the year to look at that area and potentially doing what we did with AC6 as well.
Do we know if those homes are occupied, or are a number of them still vacant if they were spec?
We don't look at occupancy from that standpoint. Once they're finished, we issue a certificate of occupancy. We don't track occupancy, whether somebody moves in or out of a home.
Right.
So I don't know that if we would have a way of doing that through trash or solid waste or anything like that. Most, those homes are on wells, so they wouldn't be using city utilities. So, we might be able to see property appraiser records as to whether there is a homestead on the property.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Since we're on that subject, I had a question because in my one-on-ones, I was very adamant that I didn't want the residents that are out there already being impacted by this. I wanted the developers to go ahead and cover the costs on this.
Right.
But in the AC 6 and 10 with the rezoning, no more single-family homes can be permitted in those areas, correct?
Other than the pockets that the commission exempted.
That we
Right.
exempted out to where,
Right.
because we wouldn't have any future coming in, because there would be
Correct.
two phases of this. Residential that's current, future residential, they would still be under, if they're not a current residence, they would fall under a different category to where they might have to pay those assessments.
Correct. And so the existing residents that are out there, not only did we state that the two pockets that we're talking about, south of 75, the commission allowed additional single-family homes to be built in those two neighborhoods. But we also ensured that the people who are already living there, if their home is destroyed in a hurricane or a fire or anything like that, they can rebuild.
Oh, absolutely.
They can sell their homes for residential use. They can live in it for the rest of their lives. We wanted to make sure that just because they were being put into an activity center district, we wanted to be able to ensure that they could continue to live in those homes, sell them. It would continue to be their investment.
Right, and those options will come down in the future with the methodologies and stuff.
Absolutely,
with
yes.
different options that we don't even know about now. So
Yes.
right now, we're just setting the pace to say, okay, let's get started on this, see what our options are, and then have future meetings and talks about what may or may not happen. In
That's
the future.
correct, yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Petro.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank you for this great sequential presentation, step by step, very informative. I would like to have screenshots and give it to people.
We'll make the presentation available so that you have a copy of it. This presentation was just developed yesterday, so.
I imagine. Question, and I have a few of those. With the passage of adopting new LDC, specifically related to AC 6 and 10, how many commercial project developments were approved?
In AC 6 and 10?
Yes.
Approved? Right now, we don't have any. We do have projects in the works, and projects can take a lot of time. No one would submit a project prior to the zoning, and then, for obvious reasons, they couldn't. But we do have multiple projects that we are currently working on in the review process.
And this is more of a hypothetical question. The reason is because there's no infrastructure. People can't develop any type of developments because it is commercial, because there's no infrastructure. So this is the first step, and I'm delighted to see this first step being presented to us. However, I will say this, I will be and I sense some agreement among my fellow commissioners, that we do want to exempt current homeowners existing, because they not only they live there, they have the wells, septic, they have FPL service. There's nothing that they need from the city, and yet if we assess them, this wouldn't be fair. Completely not fair to those people.
That is a conversation that we would absolutely be having with whatever consultant ended up coming on for the methodology study. These consultants who do these studies are very well versed in all types of different options, assessment methodology, different methodologies and calculations that are done, and we would absolutely be making that an extremely high priority, that we don't want to burden those existing residents out there.
Thank you for that. And I don't want to see this as an option in their methodology.
We have to present it only for the commission to have its entire, so that you can see the scope,
Sure.
basically. But that we understand the commission's desire on this, so we would be communicating that to our consultants.
So this ordinance itself does not impose new taxes, and you said it correctly, and if I paraphrase, provides ability but not requirement as of right now, but it's first step.
It simply provides the framework. We could not, right now, impose an assessment, or if you adopt this, we could not impose an assessment. Additional studies and approvals from the City Commission through public hearings and notifications would have to take place. So this simply provides the framework for how we would do it, but there would be numerous additional City Commission meetings, hearings, public notifications, and studies that would have to take place first.
You talked about the reimbursement from the general fund. Was that one of the steps to kind of speed up the process?
That would be part of phase one. So that when we talked about potentially doing the methodology and assessments in two different phases, that first phase, we would be looking at the costs for all of the planning, so the master plan, the infrastructure master plan that we'll be doing. If we do a methodology assessment, that would be included. And then essentially the first start of any design that we might need. So if we identified, say, improvements to Price Boulevard and Yorkshire that needed to be done first, or Yorkshire and Raintree for the interchange, we would look at the design costs, not construction, not land acquisition, just design, and we would build that into the first phase. But anything that we spent, for instance, if we spend $350,000 to do an infrastructure master plan in FY27, we would be looking, once we start assessing properties, say the end of 27, part of those assessments would pay back the general fund for the infrastructure master plan.
Okay, that makes sense as long as it's legal. And,
right. I'm not doing anything unless the city attorney says I can.
I think it's very wise to do that because this way you don't have to wait another year.
Right.
And this is just, the land becomes desolate. I mean, the grass grows through asphalt and it's just, people who have lots, they can't build and they don't know what to do. My other question is, what about a little guy who has a single lot and cannot do anything with that lot in those activity centers?
Right. What we're seeing is a lot of interest in lot assembly. So we've got property owners who are going out there and they're targeting a block to buy up those properties. Without the infrastructure, those lots aren't worth a lot, but with an infrastructure plan in place and the framework to enable the commission to do infrastructure projects, those lots become more valuable. Even the quarter-acre lots become more valuable when there is a plan for infrastructure. Sure. And so then those property owners, if they don't want to wait or they don't want to develop something like we've had some people come in and they want to build a small warehouse. That's allowed. They can do that. We've had someone come in who wants to do a towing yard. They can do that now. They can do that. But we've got some property owners who are saying, and I've talked with them. They said, I see what's coming. I think I know what's coming, and I'm going to hold on to my lot because it's going to be worth a whole lot more in a few years than it is right now. And with an infrastructure plan in place, the value of those lots will go up, and you'll see two things happen. You'll see investors trying to get out in front of that and buy lots at a lower cost. And then you will see, once they start to see one or two developments that are public and going through the process and coming up, they'll want to start purchasing the land around it, because that land's going to be worth a lot from an access standpoint off of 75 and the development potential.
Sure. What about those unsuspecting homeowners who have those quarter-acre lots, and they had those plans to build a house? They can't do towing or whatever, any business-related purposes on those lots. Do we foresee any different methodology for those quarter-acre lots as
Absolutely.
opposed to bigger lots?
Yes. These methodology studies, when they're done, they look at a lot of different factors. They look at where within the area the lots are located. So are they on a main thoroughfare? Are they on a collector road, arterial road? Are they on a back road somewhere that doesn't have a lot of access? They will look at the size. They will look at what the properties are next to, or do you have a property that's next to a really big property? That property is going to be worth more. So the properties that are more marketable, more developable, will likely score higher on the assessment range than those smaller properties that are tucked back into an area that doesn't have quite the same features. You'll see a broad range of potential assessment dollar amounts.
And the reason I'm asking this question, because I'm trying to look at it from a different perspective. If I own a lot and that person owns a lot, for example, he can't or she can't build a house. They pay taxes on it. They're not planning to develop because they have no ability to develop. They would love to sell. And yet, in a year, they're going to be hit with a new assessment in addition to their taxes, in addition to whatever services they pay, non-ad valorem services or fees they pay. There would be another $500-600, whatever the number is. Let's say $200. What about that burden that is going to be placed on them?
Right.
Unsuspecting homeowner.
Yeah, and so that's well, for one thing, that's one of the reasons why we do that outreach. They'll know these things are being considered. But the consultant methodology study would, when I say there will be a range, you could see dollar amounts less than $100 for some properties. It's going to depend on what the direct benefit would be to that specific property. So there's a lot of study that will go into determining what those recommendations are. But ultimately, it's the commission who decides it. So if they come back and say, okay, this quarter-acre lot sitting back here in this little neighborhood, the consultant may say, it should be $100. It's still up to the commission to determine whether they want to charge the full assessment or whether they want to charge a discounted price. So the commission can set that price as long as the scale is supportable legally.
And I think the big difference is, a larger parcels as opposed to quarter-acre lots. Those not on the main roads specifically, the people that are, they don't want to pay and they can't even develop those lots.
Yeah, that is absolutely, those are factors absolutely that are taken into account when the methodology is done.
When can we get that presentation?
This presentation we did tonight, we'll have the clerk send that out to everybody.
Thank you.
Is that it? City Clerk, public comment?
We do have several e-comments. First one is from Debbie McDowell. The definition of boondoggle is a wasteful or impractical project or activity often involving the acquisition of gain in dishonest or questionable ways. Please consider these rhetorical questions before creating a special district, which will lead to a new assessment for the existing property owners in AC 6 and 10. 1. How long will it take for the city to install city water, city sewer, stormwater, and increased road network in this area? 2. How long will it take FDOT to construct a new interchange once the road network is expanded? 3. Where is the guarantee FDOT will even construct those interchanges? 4. How long will it take phantom developers to amass the land, build their buildings, open their doors, and bring jobs to our city? Are they even willing to wait for number 1 and number 2 to be completed? 5, how much money will it take to complete question number 1 and 2? Nobody has a clue how long it will take to turn the first shovel on any of those questions, let alone how long until it's finished. Meanwhile, every existing property owner in AC6 and AC10 will pay the assessment next year. The cost for this new infrastructure plan is unquantifiable. No feasible study has been performed. No data has been presented either. A comparison was made between this plan and Welland Park. There is a huge difference between the two. The Welland Park developers took 100% of the risk, installed water, sewer, roads, and stormwater on extremely large tracts of land they own. When the infrastructure was complete, they are reimbursed through an assessment with each home business sold. With this boondoggle, the city doesn't own the land and existing property owners will begin paying immediately with no direct benefit. This is truly a developer's dream come true. One final rhetorical question. When was the last time Northport government placed all financial risks to existing taxpayers and used taxpayer money without a detailed roadmap to completion? Please vote no. Next one is from William Landsaw. I have issues with the proposed dependent special district. I'm a resident in AC10, and after viewing the initial meeting from December, I have several questions. 1, it was mentioned that in a survey that the overwhelming number of residents were in favor of sewer and water. How many people were surveyed, and in the survey was it mentioned that there would be a large hookup fee? 2, it was also mentioned that the burden for funding this $60+ million project would solely be on property owners in AC6 and AC10, as it would benefit them. But also in the same presentation, it was mentioned that the sole purpose of this large-scale project was to increase the business tax base of the city. So I'm confused as to why AC6 and AC10 should have to bear the financial burden for a project that would enhance the city's tax base. 3, it was mentioned that the city might carve out certain areas for single family instead of blanket commercial and multifamily use. Is this still an option? 4, with this large-scale project, has there been a discussion to start date or even a study to the total time frame to complete? It was mentioned that the committee put a large amount of work into this, so there was feasibility study done. 5, the cornerstone of this project is the proposed interchange. Has the Florida DOT given a possible time frame, or is it speculation that if you make all the improvements, they will someday take place? It was also mentioned that there were several high-tech companies interested in the area. How are you going to incentivize them to choose Northport? Are you going to give them tax incentives? There are too many questions in my mind about this project and the time frame that are still in the air that I asked the entire commission, if you lived in AC6 or AC10, would you be in favor of moving forward and being solely responsible for the cost of something that will benefit the entire city? Thank you. Next one is from Elizabeth Landsaw. Why is only AC6 and 10 singled out to be taxed of this infrastructure? We are certainly not going to be the sole users of this interchange, the roads, water, and sewer. Are you going to make the interchange a toll road and charge everyone who doesn't live in AC6 and 10 a toll as they come through? To assume that we are the only ones who will benefit from this is idiotic. This will have citywide impact if the interchange goes through. Most of the homeowners in AC10 will purchase multiple lots so that we can keep some green space between our homes to protect our little slice of heaven. Now you're wanting to put multifamily housing and light industrial that could include a Jiffy Lube, auto body repair shops, car washes, fast food, U-Hauls, or storage facilities. Is there a way to carve out the residential areas versus the lot owners' areas? The majority of the area are absentee lot owners. I understand that you want to have a more business tax base, but courting the developers is counterintuitive to keeping Florida a beautiful place where people want to visit. In the December 1st, 25 commission meeting, the commission mentioned that taxing us would be no different than Welland Park. I beg to differ. Welland Park infrastructure was paid 100% by the developers and assumed all the risk. You are asking the city, and especially AC6 and 10, to be taxed for the infrastructure so we can woo a developer into our area. I have yet to talk to one homeowner in the area that wants this. Has there been a feasibility study? How many years down the road before construction begins? How much will these two special districts be taxed per year just to exist so the city can entice developers into this area? Charlotte County already has water on Hillsborough, Raintree. Can't we work with them? These is a lot of vacant land without houses in the area. Plan better and carve out the homes already there. And the last one is from Michael Scott Smith. The build-out of the infrastructure should be the responsibility of the developer, which is then in turn charged to the businesses that are likely to move into the commercial properties. Placing the burden on the taxpayer, especially when the city is constantly overspending and seeking additional funds from the residents of Northport, is not an acceptable approach. If the taxpayers are forced through an assessment to cover that which the builders should cover the associated costs, like they did in Welland Park, putting these costs on the residents also reduces the risk placed on the builder and place that squarely on the shoulder of the residents. Builders stand to gain additional profits as well. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
No in person?
No person.
All right. I'm going to close this hearing and request a motion.
I'll make it.
Go ahead.
I move to continue ordinance number 2026-15 to second reading on July 21st, 2026.
Have a motion on the floor to continue ordinance number 2026-15 to second reading on July 1st, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second.
And that was seconded by Commissioner Petro. If there's nothing to that, please vote. That passes 4-1. Commissioner Duval dissenting. Would you like to add anything, Mr. Duval? Commissioner?
Thank you, Mayor. Just that I heard an awful lot of, we can do this in the future. The commission can make some adjustments to protect the citizens that already live there. I think those things should have been done first. Those protections should be put in first before something like this should be passed.
Yep.
Too many unanswered questions for me. Thank you.
Moving on to ordinance number 2026-20. Need a motion to have the city clerk read by title only.
Second.
Have a motion made by Commissioner Stokes, seconded by Vice Mayor to have the city clerk read by title only. Please vote. That passes 5-0. City clerk.
An ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida regarding manufactured homes, amending the Unified Land Development Code to provide compliance with Section 553.385 Florida statutes by amending Sections 3.1.2, 4.4.1, and Appendix A, Article 1, providing for findings, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, City Manager. This is your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. During the 2026 legislative session, the Florida legislature adopted House Bill 399, creating Section 553.385 Florida statutes relating to the placement and regulation of certain manufactured, also known as mobile homes, with an effective date of January 1st, 2027. House Bill 399 was subsequently superseded during the 2026 special session by House Bill 803, which retained the statutory authority requirements and accelerated the effective date to July 1st of 2026. Under the new statute, qualifying manufactured homes must be allowed by right as single-family detached dwellings in any zoning district where site-built single-family detached dwellings are allowed. Today, we ask that you approve ordinance number 2026-20 on first reading and continue to second reading on July 21st, 2026. We're happy to answer any questions you may have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, questions? Commissioner Stokes?
Just to clarify, I suppose that the intent of this ordinance is to align ourselves with the state preemption or state legislation that like mandates this. So it's not like we got much of a choice. It's just another case of the state jamming it down our throats. Am I correct?
Good evening again, Elena Ray, Director of Development Services. It's a really good question, and it's one that I encountered during the Planning and Zoning Advisory Board hearing last week, which I need to give you an update on because that happened on the 1st, too late to be included in your agenda item, but it was recommended for approval by the PZAB. They asked what happens if this isn't adopted. The answer to that is that these homes would still be allowed in every district, but we would have no regulations to control them. That's the simple answer. This ordinance is to ensure that we can enforce the regulations that the legislation that was adopted allows us to do. There are certain requirements regarding who owns the property, who owns the home, how it's affixed to the property, the type of foundation that's included in this ordinance. Without this ordinance, someone could still put a mobile home on a property, but we would have no regulations to say how it has to be done.
And it basically doesn't, so, you know, mobile home gets built in an area where there are other single-family residents, but as far as building code, as far as roof wind load requirements and things like that, they don't have to come to the same standards of a single-family home, but only a manufactured home.
That is correct. Manufactured homes, most people call them mobile homes, but technically speaking, the federal government considers mobile homes to be those homes that were built prior to 1976. Manufactured homes are homes built since then that carry a HUD certification, Housing and Urban Development certification. So these homes would have to be HUD certified and built to HUD standards. Those are not the same standards that a home built to Florida Building Code is built by. What we can do, and what this ordinance does, it's required that they be placed on a foundation that does meet the Florida Building Code, and that they are tied down to that foundation permanently per the requirements of the Florida Building Code, and that any accessory structures like a porch or stairways or a carport do have to meet the Florida Building Code. So this ordinance would enable us to enforce those types of regulations.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Commissioner Duvall.
This Florida mandate coming from above, does it exempt anything like HOAs?
Yes, so as long as a deeded community, an HOA or CDD, as long as it's built into their standards, their deed restrictions, and their covenants, as far as architecture and the types of homes that are allowed, yes, it is still, they still have the ability to enforce those. So someone couldn't go into Welland Park, Panacea neighborhoods that have the HOAs. They are deed restricted. They have covenants that are adopted for architectural standards. They would not be able to place one of these homes in those neighborhoods.
Thank you for that information. You know, just based on that, once again, we're being put into a divide. You know, so much for community of unity. People that can afford, you know, to live in a gated community are going to be exempted. The average person, you know, I realize, you know, this is a mandate from the state, but I'm going to vote no, just because it's another kick in the fanny for the average person. That's all. Thank you. And I know this has nothing to do with you.
Commissioner Petro.
I have a question for legal. For Commissioner Duvall, comments, what do you say about preferential treatment as opposed to HOAs?
Nothing from the car, please.
I'm sorry?
Is your microphone on?
It was on.
Okay.
So my question is to legal, and my question stems from the comments made by Commissioner Duvall. Is there preferential treatment in this ordinance as opposed to one area of a city as opposed to the other area of the city. And that is HOA and the legacy.
No, I don't, I'm not seeing any preferential treatment. I think the issue that Commissioner Duval has raised implicates real property rights. As the director talked about, deals with covenants that run with the land, that we don't have any control over. Deed restricted neighborhoods, whatever the covenants are, those are the ones that govern that area. We don't have anything to do with that. So this ordinance has no preferential treatment. It's just, that's how those areas are.
And the ordinance itself, that is the reason from the state mandated law that came into effect, I believe, July 1st? Or?
The first bill that was adopted, House Bill 399, had an effective date of January 1st, which was going to give us a little time to get this together. And then during one of their special sessions, they adopted House Bill 803, which took the same language, but made the effective date July 1st.
So this ordinance, what does it actually do as far as in correlation to the state law?
This ordinance enables us to enforce the regulations like the Florida Building Code compliant foundation. The structures like a carport or anything like that would have to be compliant. It also ensures that the home has to be owned by the same person that owns the land. It can't be owned, you can't lease your land out to a manufactured homeowner to place the structure there. The state preempts us on the use. We cannot today block a permit for a manufactured home on a single family lot. This ordinance enables us to enforce regulations surrounding it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, from looking at this ordinance, I do believe it's in the best interest even of the homeowner because it would protect him in the case of storm, hurricane, and all these adverse conditions. Right. I don't see any other way. I just, maybe I'm wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think you're correct. While we can't regulate the roof wind load or the structure itself, we can ensure that it's tied down properly, that it's put on a foundation that's compliant with the wind loads, and that anything they attach to it, like a carport, is going to be constructed according to the Florida Building Code wind loads.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. A few additional questions. Can we treat a manufactured home the same way we would treat a traditional home in terms of requiring hookup to utilities if they're present?
All of those conditions still apply.
Okay.
So this does not exempt them from flood regulations or any other regulations such as utilities that would apply to a single-family site-built home.
And can we require that they adhere to the 1,700 square foot minimum size?
The minimum size would have to be whatever the minimum size is for that specific zoning district.
Okay, good. Do we have any ability to limit short-term rentals?
We do not.
Rental versus owner?
We do not, and that's a state preemption.
Okay. You know I don't love this.
The feeling is mutual.
I'm done.
All right. City Clerk. Go ahead, Commissioner Petro.
Thank you, Mayor. Because we have two readings, I'm really happy about that because, you know, that gives us time to get new information, rethink, listen to the citizens and whatnot. So I do think this is a good ordinance as of right now, but I'll consider my vote also for the second reading. But I appreciate all your information.
Absolutely. I do want to note that we are limited as to the regulations that we can include here because it's actually written into the state statute what we can regulate. And anything else, we are not allowed to regulate.
That it? City Clerk, public comment?
No public comment, Mr. Mayor.
Close this public hearing and request a motion.
I'm not gonna make it.
I'll make it. I move to continue ordinance number 2026-20 to second reading on July 21st, 2026.
We have a motion on the floor made by Mayor Emmerich to continue ordinance number 2026-20 to second reading on July 21st, 2026. Do I hear a second? Okay, the motion has been seconded by Commissioner Petro. If there's nothing more to that, let's vote. And that motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Duval voting no. Anything new to add to that, Commissioner, or previous comments?
I'm not sure if I should address you as mayor or what.
Vice Mayor will do.
But no, I think my prior comments are good enough. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Moving on to ordinance 2026-21. I need a motion to have the city clerk read by title.
Second.
I have a motion made by Commissioner Stokes, seconded by Vice Mayor to have the city clerk read by title only. Please vote. That passes 5-0. City Clerk.
An ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the code of the City of Northport, Florida, Appendix A, City Fee Structure, amending development services, development review, planning and zoning, and natural resources fees, fire rescue district fees, parks and recreation, general fees, parks and recreation, facility rental fees, solid waste district fees, utilities fees, road and drainage district fees, providing for findings, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, sir. City Manager, this is your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As part of the city's budget development process for fiscal year 26-27, staff critiqued the fees charged for services provided by the city. During the City Commission regular meeting held on March 24th, 2026, agenda item 26-0383, staff presented the fiscal year 26-27 Appendix A, proposed fees to the code of the City of Northport, Florida, to the Commission for their consideration. We ask today that you continue this ordinance number 2026-21 to second reading on July 21st, 2026 as presented, and we're happy to answer any questions about the appendix you may have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Commission, questions? City Clerk, public comment?
No public comment, Mr. Mayor.
And close this hearing and request a motion.
I'll make it. I move to continue ordinance number 2026-21 to second reading on July 21st, 2026.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor made by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Duval to continue ordinance number 2026-21 to second reading on July 21st, 2026. If there's nothing to that, please vote. That passes 5-0. Moving on to second readings. Ordinance number 2026-19. Deputy City Clerk, can you read by title only, please?
An ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the non-district budget and capital improvement budget for fiscal year 2025 through 2026 to increase the Warm Mineral Springs Building Rehabilitation Project WM19BR by the amount of $4,082,133, providing for findings, providing for posting, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. City Manager, this is your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. During the City Commission regular meeting held on June 23rd, 2026, ordinance number 2026-19 was continued as presented to second reading on a 5-0 vote with no changes. We ask today that you approve ordinance number 2026-19 as presented.
All right.
As presented, I'm sorry.
All good?
Yes, sir.
All right. Commissioner Stokes?
Let's get it done. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Commissioner Duval?
I agree.
City Clerk, public comment?
We do have one e-comment by Jill Luke. I want to extend my gratitude to the Commission for coming full circle and understanding the value of Warm Mineral Springs as an asset that will connect the history of the ages with the current economic driver that it is. You will join the legacy of those who have had a hand in making sure this treasure is cared for now and into the future. I can have pride in what you five have done together as a team by putting your hand up and sealing this portion of the project, which will be a catalyst to enrich the opportunity to finish the complete project to its highest potential. Thank you. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to close this public hearing and request that almighty motion.
Happy to make it. I move to adopt ordinance 2026-19 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Stokes to adopt ordinance number 2026-19 as presented, seconded by Vice Mayor. If there's nothing to that, please vote. And yeah, that passed 5-0. Moving on, Ms. Pontfeller. Get her going. Moving on to resolution number 2026-R-30. Deputy City Clerk, can you read by title only, please?
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Northport, Florida, authorizing the City Commission to participate in a joint meeting with the Sarasota County Commission to receive, discuss, and act upon matters of mutual interest, incorporating recitals, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. And this item...
Wait a minute.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, this is your item, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Trying to save a few seconds. Okay. Sarasota County Board of County Commissioners requested a joint meeting to be held on October 27th, 2026 at the R.L. Anderson Building, Commission Chambers, Venice, Florida, according to section 125.001 of Florida statutes. In order for the meeting to occur, a resolution must be approved by the City Commission. As a result, the City Clerk has drafted this resolution for the Commission's review and consideration.
Thank you. Commissioner Duval.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a comment to my fellow commissioners that I believe we should each spend some time thinking about things we can talk to them about so that when we're there, we're ready to say, hey, Northport doesn't have complete coverage for breeze transportation and whatever else. That's all.
Commissioner Petro.
Thank you, Mayor. I do think we not only should think about what we're gonna talk about, but we should talk among ourselves in a public setting. That is the meeting. What do we want to talk about and kind of come to a consensus and finalizing and polishing our talking points. I have a lot on my mind, what I want to address. City Clerk, what's the date again? October?
The date is October 27th.
27th. I'm not sure when can we do it on a separate meeting, but maybe we should make an agenda and specifically talk about things that we want to talk about. And this is just a proposition. It's up to us.
Commissioner Stokes?
Yeah, I believe that was the protocol anyway in past. I think that's exactly what occurred. I think I don't know if we did a special meeting, but certainly it was an agenda item so we can make sure we have our ducks in a row. We know what our priorities are, and even more so now than ever in the past, I think that this is a long overdue meeting. I wished we didn't have to even wait till October. So yeah, we got to get our act together and be ready. Thanks, Mayor.
City Clerk, public comment?
No public comment, Mr. Mayor.
And close this public hearing and request a motion.
I'll make it.
Go ahead.
I move to adopt resolution number 2026-R-30 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Duval to adopt resolution number 2026-R-30 as presented, seconded by Commissioner Stokes. If there's nothing to that, please vote. That passes 5-0. Moving on to resolution 2026-R-49. Deputy City Clerk, can you read by title only, please?
A resolution of the City of Northport, Florida, accepting a proposal of TD Public Finance LLC to provide the city with a term loan in order to finance the acquisition, construction, and equipping of various capital improvements within the city, approving the form of a loan agreement, authorizing the issuance of a promissory note pursuant to such loan agreement in the aggregate principal amount of not exceeding $34,125,000 in order to evidence such loan, authorizing the repayment of such note from a convenient to budget and appropriate legally available non-ad valorem revenues, delegating certain authority to the city manager and other officers of the city for authorization, execution, and delivery of the loan agreement, promissory note, and various other documents with respect thereto, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. City Manager, that's your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So during the City Commission regular meeting held on April 7th, 2026, agenda item number 26-0556, a motion was made to direct the City Manager to work with financial and legal advisors to seek borrowing authority for the following capital projects: the police headquarters in the amount of $25 million, Community Service Center for $7 million, and Deathway Park for $2 million. This direction is preparation of all required documentation, legal review, financial analysis, and other actions necessary to support the validation process. During the City Commission regular meeting on April 21st of 2026, agenda item number 26-0661, the City Manager provided an update regarding the city's efforts to obtain court-validated borrowing authority, including a summary of the Commission's directive provided on April 7th and the borrowing priorities established by the Commission. Consistent with the Commission's direction, the City has received 8 proposals, which were evaluated based on financing costs, interest rates, repayment flexibility, financing terms, and other criteria established in the solicitation. Adoption of resolution number 2026-R49 does not by itself result in the borrowing of funds or the incurrence of debt. Following adoption of this resolution, the city intends to proceed with filing the validation action pursuant to Chapter 75 Florida statutes. Execution and closing of the loan remains subject to successful completion of the court validation process, satisfaction of all closing requirements, and consideration of the city's financial position and other fiscal considerations at the time of closing. I believe we have stated publicly, but we need to most likely say again that based on everything that we know with the tax reform, the exercise here is to get the court validation process complete to see if the court would validate our belief that borrowing authority is able to be done through our current version of our charter. Today, we actually ask that you approve resolution number 2026-R49, accepting the proposal from TD Public Finance LLC to provide the city with a term loan to finance the acquisition, construction, and equipping of various capital improvement projects, authorizing the related loan documents and promissory note, and providing for repayment from legally available non-ad valorem revenues, understanding that this is not the actual loan closing document you'll be signing today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Stokes.
Yeah, so to unpack that a little bit and to make it clear, this resolution is for the purpose of showing intent that were we to be permitted by law via the court, validating our ability to borrow under certain circumstances, this would then avail us the opportunity to go ahead and borrow. It doesn't commit us to this borrowing. It doesn't mean we have to do any of these projects, one of them, 2 of them, or 3 of them. We don't have to do anything at all. But this entire resolution is for the purpose of showing intent to the court that we have projects that are of a public value, and for that reason, we're asking the court to determine whether or not we have the legal right to borrow. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's good. I just want to make that clear so everybody understands. Thanks, Mayor. That's all I have.
City Clerk, public comment.
We do have a couple e-comments. First is Debbie McDowell. There was a darn good reason city leaders long ago put the provision in the city charter requiring the voters to approve the issuance of debt. They were protecting the taxpayers from government overreach. Just last year, the voters voted against all the referendums at the special election. I attributed one of the reasons for the no votes was due to the lack of trust in leadership. Tonight, the commission will decide to circumvent the charter, go through the court validation process, and if the ruling goes in the city's favor, immediately issue $34.1 million of debt for 3 buildings, 2 of which will primarily be used for nonprofits. I've been following the court validation process since the beginning. It was always said savings found in the general fund would repay the debt. This year's budget was reduced, and that savings has a separate line item in order to proceed with the 3 buildings if the court validation is approved. I often wondered how they would find savings over the life of the loan. After reading the exhibits, it turns out the repayment of debt will be a non-ad valorem assessment. I know those assessment rates are to be determined. However, I'm sure some sort of an estimated assessment the taxpayers will be paying for the next 30 years. Yes, there is a discrepancy. The legislative text says the loan term is 20 years, but the loan documents say 30 years. How is using non-ad valorem assessment to repay the debt for these buildings any different than the voter-approved road bond? So what if the loan documents have different terms or conditions? The repayments are both using non-ad valorem assessment. Please put a stop to this tonight. Just say no. It's really not that hard when you vote on the side of the taxpayers. Besides, you'll be able to hold your head high because you did the right thing for existing and future taxpayers. Next one is Laura Miranda. No new loans, no reasons to add tax burden to the taxpayers. And last one is Michael Scott Smith. So the city manager and commissioners have posed this in some form to the voters who rejected it twice. Now the city wants to spend additional funds to take this to court, all at the taxpayers' expense. The city manager and commissioners are not acting responsibly and abiding by their fiduciary requirements. Personally, as a disabled veteran on fixed income, this new non-ad valorem tax would negatively impact my family and I. The voters spoke twice. Additionally, why is the city looking to fund nonprofit facilities at the expense of taxpayers? There are so many other unfunded important matters around the city that need to be considered before the items outlined in this attempt to subvert the will of the people. Where is the estimate on what the taxpayers are going to be requested to spend on attorney fees and court fees for this proposed court ruling? Why would this even need to be taken to court when the voters said no? Such funding must be presented to Northport voters for approval or denial. The city hired and elected officials must start listening to the people of the city instead of finding ways to work around their decisions. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
All right. I'm gonna close this public hearing and request a motion.
I'll make it.
Go ahead.
Move to adopt resolution 2026-R-49.
Have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Stokes to adopt resolution 2026-R-49 as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor. There's nothing to that. Please vote. And that passes 3-2. Anything to that? Commissioner Duval, Commissioner Petro? All right, moving
I'll go
on.
first. In light of the current economic environment and the feedback, which is the majority of our citizens who voted against borrowing, as a public servant, the people who elected me and the people who did not elect me, I represent them all. I do believe this is in the best interest not to proceed with this process, even though the intention is to proceed is just to go forward to obtain the court validation. It is not obligation to go forward and get the borrowing. Nevertheless, I cannot be a part of this because I represent the citizens, I represent the taxpayers, and for that reason, I voted no. That's all.
All right, moving on, general business. Item 26-0408. Discussion and possible action regarding the First Amendment to Construction Manager at Risk Contract number 2025-09 for construction services contract phase 2 with Wharton Smith Incorporated for project number WM19BR, War Mineral Springs Park Historic Renovation, floodproofing and site improvements located at 12200 San Servando Avenue, Northport, Florida 34287 in the amount not to exceed $60,281,229.00. City Manager, this is your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item is for the contract action for funding you've already approved for this project. So we ask today that you approve and authorize the city manager to execute the First Amendment to the construction manager at risk contract number 2025-09 for construction services, contract phase 2 with Wharton Smith Incorporated for project number WM19PR, Warm Middle Springs Park Historic Renovation, Floodproofing, and Site Improvements, located at 12200 San Servande Avenue, Northport, Florida 34287, in the amount not to exceed $16,281,229. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Commission, questions? City Clerk, public comment?
No public comment, Mr. Mayor.
All right, I'm going to request a motion.
I'll make it.
Go ahead.
I move to approve and authorize the city manager to execute the First Amendment to construction manager at risk contract number 2025-09 for construction services contract phase 2 with Wharton Smith Inc. for project number WM19BR, Warm Mineral Springs Park, historic renovation, flood proofing, and site improvements located at 12,200 San Servando Avenue, Northport, Florida, zip code 24287. 34287, in the amount not to exceed $16,281,229.
Could you repeat that?
Yeah.
Second that.
Smart A.
Because I'm not. I have a motion on the floor made by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Duval. If there's nothing to that, please vote. That passes 5-0. City Clerk. Public comment?
No public comment, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Commissioners' communications, Commissioner Duval.
None.
Commissioner Stokes.
Yeah, just briefly, I want to
Thank you. No, go
I
ahead.
want to take this opportunity to address the item that I made the motion on with regard to validation process. And to make it very clear, I don't believe that any decision on spending any money whatsoever, if this validation is approved by the court, should take place before, certainly not before the November election, when we find out what the implications are going to be as to whether or not property tax reform passes or not. This was purely a process to determine what flexibility this city has to borrow money under our charter. I think that was an important thing for us to find out. That's why I supported this. But I can tell you this, I would never support spending any of this money until we have a firm idea of where we stand after the November election. So I just want everybody to understand we are in part of a process here. So I don't want anybody to think that this automatically assures that any of these 3 projects are going to get funded. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I had nothing. Vice Mayor?
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Petro?
Yes, I went to this Freedom Fest thing. I really enjoyed it. It was a spirit of celebration and met a lot of people. I was very surprised to see a lot of young kids, even though it was hot. The evening was really hot, but the kids were there, and it was delightful to see that. I also attended Citizen Academy, Police Citizen Academy graduation, and I enjoyed that as well, to see our police there to work along with our citizens. Thank you.
City Manager?
Just one thing, Mr. Mayor, to piggyback on what Commissioner Stokes said, one clarification from the citizen who made the comment. There is not an assessment that is attached to this process of the validation through the court. It is funded through money that was saved in the current budget that we have, imposing no additional tax application or financial burden on our taxpayers. That is why it should be successful, because we found the money to pay for it without asking the taxpayers to pay for anything else. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
For that clarification, sir, I appreciate it.
City Attorney? Deputy City Clerk?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Are you sure? This is your one
I
shot.
could come up with something if you want. Okay.
It's 7:50. I'm gonna adjourn this meeting. Have a good